Hey everybody, this is James Hernandez. How you all doing? And welcome back to a brand new episode of Characters Face Off. This is Characters Face Off episode 17. I hope you guys had a really good Memorial Day weekend. I'm sure that I also had a good Memorial Day weekend as much as you guys. And I'm back once again for a brand new Characters Face Off episode. So for today's episode of Characters Face Off is going to be a battle between Knuckles the Echidna from Sonic the Hedgehog versus Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z. That's right, we're going to see which of these two rival turned allies would win from two of these most respected franchises. So without further ado, let's get started. So first let's talk about Knuckles. So Knuckles the Echidna is the Red Echidna, and he is one of the main characters of the Sonic the Hedgehog series. He is the last surviving member of the Echidna clan, and he was born to protect the Master Emerald, a powerful relic which can negate the effects of the Chaos Emeralds. This has led him to rarely leaving Angel Island unless something big happens to the Master Emerald or somewhere else. So one day when he met Sonic the Hedgehog's arch nemesis, Dr. Eggman, and was told by him that Sonic was the one who is after the Master Emerald, and he technically needs his help. So despite that Eggman lied to him at first, Knuckles fought Sonic in a battle, but then he realizes that Eggman has manipulated him the whole time. So then he teams up with Sonic to defeat Dr. Eggman, and then Knuckles became one of Sonic's friends in every adventure that they went to in the Sonic the Hedgehog video games following it. So without further ado, let's talk about his powers and abilities. So as for his powers and abilities, Knuckles has super strength, which he can lift, and he can press 100 metric tons, making him physically one of the strongest characters in the Sonic universe. Like, he was strong enough to lift trees, and he was also strong enough to lift a Godzilla-sized robot that Dr. Eggman created when you watched the Sonic X anime, which is, yeah, it's very impressive despite his small size, and he was able to lift a giant robot that is like the size of Godzilla. And he also has his fists, which is strong enough to like punch anyone or anything that he can go through. Pretty much like what Boomstick has said about Knuckles, like basically just like punching everything. Something in the way, punches. Name a comic clip, punches, and all that. Also, Knuckles is very good at gliding, as he can move forward like through the air at high speeds. While it basically doesn't look like that he's gliding and is more like flying, but he really is really good at gliding when he goes to like one wall to another, specifically like in every Sonic game, especially in Sonic 06. And just like many of the other Sonic characters, Knuckles has the ability to perform spin attacks, and he also has a homing attacks and perform a spin dash to attack Eggman's robots and some of the other Sonic characters. And Knuckles also has some treasure hunting skills, which he can use to track down and find the Master Emerald whenever it's been stolen by Dr. Eggman or someone else. So he uses those treasure hunting skills to find the Master Emerald. He also is pretty fast, just like the other Sonic characters, as he was fast enough to run at remarkable speeds, and he's also fast enough to dodge Eggman's robots as well as Shadow's Chaos Spear. And as for his climbing skills, Knuckles is very skilled at climbing, as he was able to like climb on walls while Sonic can run up to them, and Knuckles can also use his shovel claws to undo some of his digging abilities, which he can like dig through like pretty much everywhere, like in the ground or like in the mountains, everywhere. He's really good at digging. And Knuckles also has like two forms. He can go super, he can go into Super Knuckles when he uses 7 Chaos Emeralds, and he can also turn into Hyper Knuckles. Now, Knuckles' hyper form has natural abilities like his impressive strength, speed, and accuracy increased facility, and his vitality invulnerable, I would say. And his form can also perform a shockwave attack that actually causes like sudden earthquakes, and it was strong enough to destroy all of the Bandit enemies on screen, and he can fly until he touches the ground and damages his enemies. Now as for his super form can actually command like ultimate powers, and he has access to unlimited energy. Now when it comes to his feats, Knuckles went toe-to-toe with Sonic in combat. He was fast enough to outrun machine gun fire, smashes through boulders, punches the ground with such force that triggers volcanic eruptions, which that's crazy. He also ran so fast that he crumbles on the ground beneath him, and he's even defeated Super Mecha Sonic. But as for his weaknesses, Knuckles can fall for Dr. Eggman's tricks time and time again. He jumps into fights without any much of a way of a strategy, and he basically has a really bad temper. And despite that he's not as dumb as like Knuckles from Sonic Boom, he still is not the smartest character in the Sonic universe. And he even like lost the fight to Shadow the Hedgehog, and he also basically followed the tricks of Rouge the Bat. But overall, despite all of his flaws, Knuckles is the muscle of the Sonic universe with excellent treasure hunting skills, and he's actually one of the strongest characters in the Sonic universe. Alright, now let's move on to his opponent, Piccolo. Now, Piccolo is one of the main characters of the Dragon Ball manga and anime franchise. He is an Namekian and the final child of the reincarnation of King Piccolo. Now, after Goku killed King Piccolo in Dragon Ball, the latter's last act was to spit out of the egg containing his child called Piccolo Jr., which that's what Piccolo was called when he was born, who had retained the memories of his father's techniques. Now, Piccolo spent the next 3 years training for the 23rd Martial Arts Tournament with the intent to kill Goku. But after a long and brutal fight, Piccolo ultimately failed, but was spared by Goku, and Piccolo vowed to continue his quest to kill Goku. But then 5 years later, in Dragon Ball Z, when Goku's brother Raditz came to Earth, Piccolo decided to form a temporary truce with Goku to defeat Raditz, and after Goku's death, Piccolo left the fight with Goku's son Gohan in order to train him to fight the two other Saiyans, which are Vegeta and Nappa, during the Saiyan saga. Now, during their training, Piccolo was at first brutal to Gohan, but over the time began to form a sort of a father and son bond, a bond that is so strong that Piccolo technically sacrificed his life for Gohan. So after the two Saiyans defeat, until Vegeta turns good, Piccolo would become an ally to Goku, and he also became one of his friends, and would become a member of the Z Fighters and one of the strongest members in the Dragon Ball universe. Alright, so that's all about Piccolo's life. Now it's time to talk about his powers and abilities. Now, as for his powers and abilities, Piccolo has his own style of martial arts called the Demon Clan. The style originally developed by King Piccolo. He has the ability to regenerate himself because of all the Namekians are able to use that technique after suffering wounds. And Piccolo did use it during the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament. Now, the next ability technique that Piccolo has is the Explosive Demon Wave. He uses that against Raditz, and he even uses it to destroy the moon to stop Gohan's Great Ape transformation. And Piccolo uses that attack also against Frieza after the Triun's punishing blaster, which, yeah, that's very impressive for an Namekian himself. And, of course, his most powerful technique is the Special Beam Cannon. The Special Beam Cannon is a powerful laser beam that he can use to destroy his enemies, where he teams up with Goku and the other Z Fighters when he fought the likes of Frieza, Perfect Cell, Majin Buu, and of course, like many of the Dragon Ball villains in the Dragon Ball Z movies. Now, Piccolo also has lacticity powers, which he can stretch his arms during his strikes, and he also has special quirks, skill arts, and the ultimate move arts. Now, Piccolo also can shoot lasers out of his eyes to shoot, which something I didn't know when I was checking out one of his abilities. But yeah, he does shoot lasers out of his eyes, which is crazy. He also uses that to nullify Krillin's double Tenshudikin and an attempt to break a grapple with Goku. Now, Piccolo also has his transformations. Piccolo can turn into the Super Namekian, which he can unlock his abilities and achieve slightly insurmountable powers. And then in the Dragon Ball Super movie called Dragon Ball Super Superhero, Piccolo can turn into Orange Piccolo, which it makes him taller and bulkier, and his pupils actually becomes red, and his skin actually becomes orange. And his orange form actually gave him the power on par with Goku and the others, and he uses that to grow stronger and actually becomes like a huge giant when he was fighting the giant version of Cell in that movie. Which, yeah, like seeing that on the big screen when I saw the movie in theaters, it was very incredible. Now, when it comes to Piccolo's feats, Piccolo has killed Goku and Raditz by using the special beam cannon at the beginning of the Saiyan saga in Dragon Ball Z. Piccolo easily defeated the Moon to stop the Great Ape Gohan. He survived a brutal beatdown by Nappa because of his durability. He survived beatings from Frieza as well. He went toe-to-toe against Goku in battle. He managed to take out Robelt, and Piccolo also killed Cooler's last army member in the Dragon Ball Z movie Cooler's Revenge. But as for his weaknesses, Piccolo loses his limb in the battle, and it would take time for it to regenerate. He was severely weakened when the latter absorbed energy from his body and during his battle with Perfect Cell. And Piccolo has died like 5 times in the series, got headbutted by Goku, and just like the rest of the Namkians, Piccolo has sensitive ears because of the high-pitched sounds like whistling, which, yeah, I never heard anything like that because it's been a long time since I've been watching Dragon Ball Z and throughout the series. But overall, Piccolo is considered to be one of the most powerful Namkians in the Dragon Ball universe with his ability, strength, intelligence, and durability. Alright everyone, now that I analyze these two characters, it's time for me to talk about who would win in this fight. Now, I gotta say, this is actually going to be much, much, much closer than we thought because while the Sonic characters may not look as powerful as the Dragon Ball Z characters, but they can be extremely powerful themselves. And the fight between Piccolo and Knuckles actually would be really cool to see. To see these two rival turn allies, to turn on against each other. So this is going to be tough. But here's something that I think these characters have. So when it comes to strength, I might have to go with Piccolo because in early Dragon Ball Z, Piccolo's power level was around 408, while he is weighted, clothing, and higher with his special beam cannon. Now Knuckles is actually pretty impressive with his super strength, but Piccolo is actually much more stronger than what Piccolo is actually much more stronger than what Knuckles can usually do. So I would say when it comes to strength, that one goes to Piccolo. Now when it comes to speed, this is tough because both of them are pretty fast since Knuckles can keep up with Sonic and he's actually pretty fast enough to catch up with the other Sonic characters, while Piccolo is also really fast when he actually has his own flight speed. So, because Knuckles can keep up with Sonic and dodge Shadow's Chaos Spears and Eggman's robot lasers, Piccolo can fly at speeds when they're significantly faster than the speed of sound. So I guess I might say that Knuckles has the speed advantage while he's on the ground, while Piccolo has a speed advantage when it comes to flight. Now, as for intelligence, this is much easier because Piccolo definitely has the intelligence factor because he is considered to be one of the smartest characters in the Dragon Ball universe. And as for Knuckles, while he is not as dim-witted or as dumb as him from the Sonic Boom cartoon, but the problem is that Knuckles doesn't really think before he does something in battles, pretty much like Raphael from the Ninja Turtles, where he just basically get into a fight without a plan. So technically that could be one of Knuckles' downfalls in a fight. So if he actually just turns out to go after Piccolo without a plan, then that actually would be Knuckles' downfall, since he definitely is not that smart. He's not a genius like Tails or just as smart as Rouge the Bat. So I would say when it comes to intelligence, that one goes to Piccolo. Now, when it comes to abilities, I think I might have to go with Piccolo on this one. Now, don't get me wrong, Knuckles is very impressive when it comes to his abilities, but I felt like Piccolo's abilities is just easily much more superior, and it actually tends to be even more dangerous when he has lacticity powers and he has been studying martial arts and he has been all these techniques that he has, especially the special beam cannon. So yeah, I think Piccolo actually has like the advantage when it comes to abilities. Now, in terms of like of their forms, now I think it actually would be like blow for blow, and it's going to be really insane when Knuckles goes into his Hyper Knuckles form and Piccolo goes into his Orange Piccolo form. Now the question is, how long will Hyper Knuckles and Orange Piccolo can last? Well, according to the research, I heard that Knuckles' orange form can actually last for 5 minutes, while Knuckles' hyper form doesn't really last that long. Pretty much like Sonic, Shadow, and Silver when they went into their super forms, because their super forms, while it does give them the edge when it comes to power, but the problem is that it doesn't last very long. While the Dragon Ball Z characters, I believe they can last even much longer than that, even though they do have limits. So yeah, I think this actually would be a really fun fight to see these two characters go at it. But in terms of who's the actual winner here, I think I have to go with Piccolo because of his strength, intelligence, durability, and powers. And I just think that he would actually will give like Knuckles like his own Knuckles sandwich, and is this really it's just really ridiculous. So now, don't get me wrong. Knuckles is actually really strong, and he's also powerful in his own right. But some of the stuff that Knuckles have really does give him the disadvantage because, like I said in this video, that Knuckles is definitely not as smart as Piccolo. Like Knuckles is considered to be one of the dumbest characters in the Sonic universe. Well, not as dumb as Boom Knuckles, but you know he's not a genius like Tails, and he's nowhere near as smart as Rouge the Bat. Whereas Piccolo, on the other hand, is actually very intelligent. So, yeah, that's another way you got to look at it. So, while I do think that Knuckles and Piccolo will put up a good fight against each other, I don't see Piccolo killing Knuckles. Like maybe he'll just like defeated him with his special beam cannon when Knuckles' hyper form, like goes out. And then I can see Piccolo give Knuckles the sensu beam, and then these two would respect each other, and just by saying that was a good fight, and these two would just live on their normal lives I would say. Sorry. So looks like in the end, guys, looks like Knuckles is no more. The winner is Piccolo. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys enjoy my channel, please subscribe, hit that like button, and turn on the notifications when I make future videos. And is there something I miss about Knuckles and Piccolo? Let me know in the comments below. It's been quite a long while since I look at their abilities and powers from both of these characters. And I'm not trying to downplay or overplay any of these characters. I'm trying to make this like trying to make this fight just as good and very accurate to their characters as much as possible. So, but yeah, like this is just my opinion, and then if you guys disagree, that's totally fine. No ill will against you. And I would love to hear from you guys. Who do you guys think would win between Knuckles and Piccolo? Did you guys think Knuckles would win, or do you guys think Piccolo would win? Like I said, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinions down below. And yeah, and stay tuned for the next episode of Characters Face Off, which I'm going to be showing to you, which I also have been requested to do. And stay tuned for the next video that I might do a review for Disney's Lilo and Stitch, since the live action remake just recently came out. And I'll share you guys my quick thoughts on the remake before I review the original film. So hope you guys enjoy this episode of Characters Face Off, and like I said, stay tuned for the next episode of Characters Face Off, which I have been requested to do. And yeah, that's all I got to say. So hope you guys had a good day, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, take care.